4, building on base. Why? Let's fucking go. So one of the things you might have seen lately is a lot of the shield. If you are on mobile, it is red and white. If you are on uh, desktop, it is blue and white. What is that? You might not know. And why should you know? Well, if you are using a Coinbase account, and please, if you are not using a Coinbase account, let me know. I would love to send you my referral code because I am a Coinbase affiliate, and I can get you $150 worth of free learn and earns over the next 2 months. You don't even have to connect your bank account. Did I just show myself? Yes. If you connect your bank account and you do a $100 transfer, I get $10 in Bitcoin and you get $10 in Bitcoin. If you don't connect your bank accounts, you still get that $150 in free learn and earns. So it's a little bit of a win-win. That is how the easiest way I use to onboard people that I meet when I'm trying to teach people, because it's the easiest way to onboard into crypto for me. Coinbase has been doing a lot over the last, oh my gosh, what month are we in? We are in August, almost at the end. In the last 6 months, a lot has happened for Coinbase, going from getting a Wells notice to actually getting a suit charged, being sued by the SEC, to actually saying F that and fighting back against the SEC, and standing up strong, which is pretty amazing to see. We don't see that very often. So it is really cool to see that going like that. And then what's really cool, we've seen some huge voices stand up, as what is now being referred to Stand with Crypto. And so we have some really cool stuff going on within that sphere. And what we then saw happen, what was really cool, was an amazing amicus brief. That is a petition on behalf of either the defendant or the plaintiff. And in this case, it was the defendant, Coinbase, by major execs that legal experts for SEC securities laws from major law firms, that if you go and look at their history of what they actually do, you would actually might think that they're the bad guy, because they usually are the ones defending the bad guy on security laws. Why? They're attorneys. Attorneys get hired. And so they become experts to wiggle through and define. But then they're also what these 6 attorneys are actually used to define and build out securities law and Federal Registry regulations. And so these guys are not just, big dog attorneys. They actually have some weight and have a huge history piece. So it's really cool to see it. One of the number one things that they pointed out, they went through 26 pages. If you look at this amicus brief, they went through 26 pages to get to a final 4-sentence ending paragraph, where they break everything down from blue sky laws, tubber tire yellow deals, the great orange field debate, as well as other aspects of the blue sky laws and how it was defined and how it was interpreted, what the intent and meaning was behind it when it was done, and how it doesn't apply. And the reason why one of the biggest reasons why they said it doesn't apply to these tokens that are labeled as securities without charging the tokens themselves as securities, but charging Coinbase for trading unregistered securities. See, they're not saying that these things are proving these things are securities. They're saying, so Coinbase, you're guilty without proving that these things are securities, as they think that if they get one, then it just sort of gets everything else in line. They're like, oh, see, look, we won this case that they are trading unregistered securities. So that means everything they're trading is a security. But what stood up was the main definitions of investment contract. And from investment contract, there's the Howey test is the biggest breaker or maker on this. And so one of the hardest things for me is the reminding of, did you pass the Howey test or did you fail it? So I guess it's how you want to say it. Did you fail the Howey test, or did you pass it? Of whether or not you are a security or not. One of the 4 pillars of the Howey test of the investment contract is a relationship between the investor and the buyer. The investor and the seller, and the buyer expects to make a profit solely on the work, based in behalf on the work of the seller. So that was a clear definition piece there that was sort of broken out. That means nothing else is doing except there's person A and person B. Person A sells a contract to person B. Person B just sits there and makes money because person A is working their butt off. Now, what's really great and amazing with social media, with everything else aligned with it, you have person C, D, E, Z, G, double K, Y, that alphanumeric symbol, and pi, and everything else in between, working on behalf of that project. People pumping their own bags. You want to make sure you want to go out of your way to make sure that a project you like is not a security. Go write something nice about it. Even if it's because the sky is blue. Because the color of the sky is blue, you like that project. Go tweet about it. Put a couple of hashtags in there. And why should you do that? Because now you are doing something that might get reasonably be work on behalf of that without them doing it, that could institutionally raise the value of that token or that project. And that was work done not on behalf of the company or the company doing it solely on itself, but on you. So that then sort of violates the entire term investment contract. Now, this is just a legal opinion based on this one defining moment as they break down the 4 pillars of the Howey test. And so they really go out of their way to sort of talk about what Coinbase is doing, and we have gotten to go to Coinbase's fireside town hall with U.S. regulators. We went there with let's see here, the New York governor's office, the New York mayor's office, Senator Gillibrand's office, Assemblyman Vogel was there, and Councilwoman Gutierrez was there, and as well as the CPO from Coinbase, Chief Policy Officer. He was the moderator of this fireside panel, which was an amazing little, in a little place. Oh my gosh, it was a little movie theater hotel place, the Roxy or something like that, maybe. I think it was the Roxy in New York, and it was an amazing time. We really had a lot of fun there. But if you took the views of what those politicians, and remember, politicians talk to their audience, so they may say one thing here, they may say something slightly different there, that sort of semi-align, but you can't really overlap them because they're talking to 2 different audiences. They'll say the same thing in different ways. Not saying all politicians are bad in that aspect, but from the simple fact that they know their audience and they don't lie. They just, hey, let's talk about crypto in one room, and the other way, let's talk about regulation on crypto in the other room. So that's a very simple piece there. But if you got the overall vibe, they want to see blockchain infrastructure stay in the United States. They want to see the United States become a powerhouse in this. The United States has lost a lot of ground to all sorts of different things, and it is crazy to see. But at the same time, we get to sort of see, we get to feel that temperature. And as they're looking to have these things brought into play, one, that they're waiting for support from more backroom deals. This is what politicians do. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Are you ready for me to do this? Are you not ready? What do you need for me to do this? There's all of these deals done because that's how they make the world move right now. What they don't know is blockchain can bring a change to that. How can blockchain bring a change to that? Because of the transparency and consistency, open sourceness uh, of blockchain. You know, and why does this matter with a Coinbase? Because Coinbase is future thinking right now. As new regulations come into play, one of the uh, classic things of new regulation is anything already in place sort of gets grandfathered in. So if Coinbase, someone goes and builds a chain and aims to make it decentralized, and they have a guiding voice to set that up for, because they sort of see that decentralization has both a very real staying power as well as a very profitable staying power. Why not make it? You make something that exactly that other people want, that serves everyone, the degens, the fintech traders, and um, you know, everyone in between. That serves a purpose. Ethereum is being used by both banking institutions for services as well as every degen. All right. But what if we saw a chain that served a purpose that it's profitable for a company to make a decentralized, permissionless, trustless network? I think that's pretty freaking smart, because it will then get grandfathered in. So they're not thinking short term like a lot of companies are. What is it for me now? I would rather get 1/1000th of a cent per trade in perpetual than $1 million now. Because once you get into those billion amounts of trades, movements, it's just, I don't want to say cash cow, but it pays for itself and then some. And what that will do, and what that's doing, is that's innovating growth, because the big powerhouse guys see it. Why do you think Coca-Cola got involved? Coca-Cola doesn't get involved with anything. This is a very interesting aspect, that we saw Coca-Cola, not Pepsi, step forward on this. Coca-Cola has a classical history in modern markets of staying out of almost anything that could be considered a loss later on, or black mark. The legal team in Coinbase had a considerable amount of excess billing hours. If you go to their company prospectus, over the last 2 quarters, this isn't a last minute decision. All right. So over the last 2 quarters, legal for Coca-Cola has skyrocketed. What do you think they're doing? I don't know. But then all of a sudden they launch something on base. Those lawyers, in my opinion, those attorneys were working overtime, poking holes in every scenario of why they probably shouldn't do this. That's what they're paid to, is advert risk. And so what they sort of saw makes me very optimistic. So this is one of those things to where sometimes you have to step outside of Web3 and off-chain to sort of see, why do these companies do these things? So when you find these little trails and these tickers, and if you have access to things like this, use that. Obviously, it's not all information can be shared, but it's for yourself, and this is why it's really great to see companies that are moving into Web3, because they've worked really hard to not do it. So when they finally do it, it means either they found a reason to, or they saw that the profit outweighed the risk. Now, if they saw the profit outweighing the risk, yeah, that means that they might be worried about a slap on the wrist, told not to do something, and pay a fine and stop doing it. Or they're so sure of it that they're willing to get on that ride. We've seen companies like Sony do it. Now Atari. We've seen, Panasonic, major movie companies. We've seen Chuck Russell, the director of The Mask, and a whole bunch of MGM and United Artists movies and stuff like that. Build his own movie, starting to build his own movie empire within the Gala Games ecosystem or Gala ecosystem under Gala Films, where users get to be owners of movies, have a I think with one of the outsourced utility cases is, since movies are digital, we still have those 60 frames per second, I think it is, times 120 minutes. So each frame is an NFT owned by someone. Now, anytime that frame shows, that person could get a revenue share of that. How crazy is that? Next time you're showing a GIF of The Office, and you just happen to own one frame of it or a few frames of it, and you get those micro payments every time that GIF is used, and then the rest of the frames that are owned by others, everyone gets payments from that. Now that is cool. I was at, a few weeks ago, I was at, I don't know what the right term is, senator and running. He's not yet a senator, but he's running for U.S. Senate, William Schweitzer. I was at one of his first meetups and stuff like that to sort of hear what this politician that's pro-crypto is all about. And, there was a woman there who wasn't there for the crypto side of things. She was just there for the politics, the side of things, and, her worldviews and stuff. And she's explain crypto, explain blockchain, explain Bitcoin, and it just goes to show we have a long way to go if, you just don't really understand those concepts, because we do have a lexicon that is highly, highly, highly restrictive. I forget that term that I wanted to use. Exclusive. We have a verbiage that puts us apart automatically. And so, like politicians, we have to remember who we're talking to and what are we talking to them about. So one of the things that we do see is we see a huge push on the education side, but then what we see from the Degen side is ownership. Web 1 was about reading. Web 2 was about reading and writing data. Web 3 is reading, writing data, and owning it. Web 4 is verifiable, I guess, verifying data. And so we'll see changes in that. But she was like, so your plan is just to own all your data and, sell it? No. I should have a say in it, though. And if it is being sold, shouldn't I get a piece of my pie? I got a letter today from one of my old World War II. No. W2 jobs. I forget this verbiage so quickly sometimes. W2 jobs. I worked social services. I worked for one of the largest providers of IDD and pharmaceutical services in the United States for half a decade, and worked the last couple of years as a regional role, oversaw a couple states, and was growing out new programs in new states. And I got a letter from them that my data was leaked and they wanted to give me some free data monitoring service and stuff like that. And I'm like, damn, I haven't worked for them for almost 2 years and they still have my data. they still have a breach. So it's sort of interesting. And so we roll back. We roll back to the ownership side of data, and we see what's really cool there. We have a really interesting path to put forward within Coinbase. And so building on base is an opportunity that has really started to take off. We haven't seen a lot of the huge VC pieces come out yet. I am super excited for permissionless. Coinbase is going to be there. Who knows what's going to be coming out of the bag? I am going to just say this once or twice more for the 10, 13, 14 more days. Maybe I might say it once or twice, but I may or may not have a really quick interview with someone whose initials is VB. As we get that going, we'll have a lot of fun, but we do have a lot of amazing interviews set up with some huge movers and shakers, and it's going to be a blast. We're super excited. Permissionless last year was at West Palm Beach. This was my only complaint about permissionless last year. They had too many good speakers on at the same time because they had like 5 or 6 different stages. And so at the same time that an amazing speech was going on, talk was going on, there was another one. There was like 3 going on at the same time because if there's only, I will watch the live speech on like my phone while sitting at another speech talk. So, but this was one that just could not do. But there was so many amazing projects there. I am sad that it wasn't being held there again. But it is being held in Austin, September 11th through the 13th. The 10th is a hackathon day with the winners announced on the 11th, which is going to be really cool. So going to be there to go see who's building what, see how I can support on the social media side, or connections with some of the VCs that might be looking for fresh projects as well. So, always be hunting. Is that how we say it? No. I don't think that's what we always say. But one of the really cool projects that we've been part of since before day one, that just recently launched on Zen roughly 2.5 days ago, is Zen. Zen started almost a year ago on October 8th. And oh man, my chair is so squeaky right now. Oh well. And so we got to see some really cool stuff come out of Zen over the last year. I'm going to say year, but October 8th will be a year for it. We've seen about 20 projects come through for it. What I really want to see and what I'm going to be starting to petition projects, whatever chain they're on, because Zen is on now 12 chains. Taking Zen token, taking a fixed supply of Zen token for some sort of service. If you're willing to take like $1, take 1 million Zen. See what that does for you. Don't burn it, hold it. Could be worth something, it could be worth nothing. We are going to shoot over to Twitter real quick. We got 2 amazing people that we can bring on up as we have to do a quick side thing. But we have Meta Rides coming to us live from wherever they are at in the world. Once they get connected, they are doing a hard connect. I think that might be Hermie. He is an amazing person. And so as Meta Rides is working to connect, we actually got to do a quick degenic thing. We got to find, nope, not God Chain, not BTT. We got to find Phantom. Let's try to bring you up again, Meta Rides. I saw you were having some issues there. For those that don't know, that are joining us via YouTube, Twitch, Discord, Telegram, huge shout out to my Xenon family. Huge shout out to my Xenon family and my Unlonely app fam. MetaRides is a Polygon-based racer. One of the cool things that they have, they're minting for about $50 right now per car. I think that's right under 100 Matic. Matic's, I think, around 60 cents or so. I would have to double check that. And so we have some cool stuff going out there with them, but they're getting ready to launch a full metaverse-based game where I'm going to give you the shorts. One, it's a racer, racing with friends against others. But two, you own your car, so you can take it into other metaverses. Eventually, they want to be the auto shop, one of the other auto shops of the metaverse. But what I really like about it, and this just makes me dumb, is I love their in radio, showcasing NFT artists and working to platform out with other amazing creators and artists in the Web3 space via their radio, where users can buy it right in their car and stuff like that. And so I think that there's a lot of cool potential there, and I'm excited to sort of see what they have coming out. Give them a like or follow when you get a chance. For those, it is MetaRides LLC on Twitter. That is METARIDES LLC on Twitter. And so we will see some really cool stuff out of them over the next couple weeks. I think there's some really cool things coming up for them. So give them a follow. Follow them on all of the fun things. And we got to do one quick side thing. We are being a Degen, and we are, let's see here, we're sending, boom. We're sending off some Phantom to someone real quick, so they can do some stuff on Phantom. So that is the fun thing. But one of the things we're going to do today, we're going to do a little stalking. One of the things I forgot to do, oops, is put this amazing video up in the bird's nest. So if you want to follow along with what we are doing as we post things around, we actually are going to be stalking Jesse Pollock. Why are we stalking Jesse Pollock, you might be asking? Well, Jesse does amazing things for the entire base community. I've worked to connect I think 5 projects so far now with Jesse for projects that want to build on base, and he's provided that support for them to be able to do that. So it's really cool to see. And so he works for Coinbase. He is their community dev liaison in a way, for those that are interested on building on base. And one of the cool things that we saw that is building on base right now is Library. It is a decentralized, permissionless, ownerless, trustless library and storage system. So we get to see some really cool things here. I want to go find them real quick. Ad world. But you should follow. There it is. Layer. Layer is a decentralized solution for efficiently storing files on-chain to power new experiences. An on-chain library is live and fully functional. This is one of those things that we've talked about a lot. The written word being changed by the victors. We've seen that with the writer of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Dahl. and we've seen some of his other writings starting to get rewritten to be more aligned with today's political climate, I guess you could say. And we've seen that with other authors, books being rewritten to appease masses rather than being what they've always been, historical fiction, historically fake. And so taking some of the pieces that are considered masterpieces that every child has to read or watch, and changing it to make it today's needs, but also the history of things being changed, putting this on chain. When we started to see a lot of libraries get decentralized, but then the schools that own those decentralized networks say we're going to turn it off or censor. This doesn't allow you to censor it when it's on chain like this, and that's one of the coolest things. We get to start having continuous proof of things, continuous truth. And what's really cool is when a perspective is written, we always can get another perspective to it. Wouldn't you would love to hear the story of an accident from the guy that was standing on the left side of the street, as well as the guy from the right side of the street? And you never know what may have really been going on. But when we get to have these truths out there, these stories, this brings a lot of honesty and transparency, the things that blockchain is supposed to represent, brought to the table. And it's really cool to sort of see. Now, the way we've sort of seen Zen grow over the last year, and I got to connect Jack Levin and Sun Tzu with Jesse, so that they could answer some direct dev questions about block size and times and stuff like that, and connecting with some other programs within the base ecosystem. We've seen Zen grow from a mutable contract that, some might hate me for saying this, token has zero value. But how is it created? On the economic value of a transaction. Gas. Who gets gas? Those that provide security to the entire network, not just my transaction, but every transaction. They're the ones that get to collect this on finalizing a block, on finalizing processing my transaction. So what we've seen here is it's taken the ideas of Bitcoin, where Bitcoin should, at its minimum, be only worth the economic energy put into creating it. I remember the days when it cost less to buy Bitcoin than to make Bitcoin. And so right now, Bitcoin, I think, depending on where you're at in the world, costs around 12,000 to 20,000 to make an energy usage. When I say make, solving and completing the next block, and finalizing the next block and winning the next block reward. And so we'll see that difficulty and the payout reduced at the halving next year. I think around second quarter. I forget the exact date that it's supposed to happen. But we'll see that in the second quarter of next year. And so at the minimum, Bitcoin should be that. But because of its scarcity and because of supply and demand, it is more than that. So we see the same thing happening with Zen. You're paying gas fee to mint, and then, or claim your tokens, depending on what side of the camp you like on the verbiage. And then you're paying the transaction on that later date from the proof of participation to have it brought on chain and created. And so we see a couple of cool things happening within that. We see it really stretching block size limits, and we've seen 3 chains now upgrade their chains so that Zen is slowed down on it. These chains that talk about scalability and being able to handle millions of users can't handle one token when it's put to the test by a community. Right now, Zen has over 90,000 holders on ETH alone. If you take in the different chains that those holders are on, they're now across 12 active chains. Who wouldn't want a project that is active across 12 chains? You know? So as we've seen Zen start to rise through the ranks, now it's been one of the number one talked about tokens on Avalanche for almost 48 weeks since inception. It has been in one of the top 10 tokens moving on Avalanche, one of the top tokens moving on Phantom, Polygon. It helped make ETH ultrasound money because it's burning more ETH. It's sort of, and that's through the EIP 1559, Paris EIP, if I remember right, which actually burns, destroys. And so we see some cool stuff coming from this. Now, why bring Zen to base? There's so many cool memes that we can make out of this. One of the coolest ones that was shown to me that I'm going to work hard to make a funny meme out of is Moneyball. When Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill and all these old baseball coaches are talking, why is he important? Because he can get on base. And variations of that. Why do we want him? Because he can get on base. So one of the really cool things that we haven't seen with other chains that we've seen with Base is a direct integration within Ethereum via a smart contract, not a bridge, meaning not a two-sided liquidity pool. There's a contract, starts with 0x4. If you DM me, I can send it to you, but it is a self-to-self payment. That's what it shows up as, self-to-self payment. Rather than as a true transaction that allows a true integration. So you send ETH to it from Ethereum, and it automatically pops up in your on your base side. How cool is that? One of the things that was pointed out to me was around the technical and tax reasonabilities with that. That shows that as a payment to self, not as a new transaction changing assets. So it's no longer a taxable event. Sort of cool things there. There's some really cool stuff being built out. You guys need to stay ahead of the game here. Don't let me, my name is freaking Taco, for Christ's sake. Don't let me stay ahead of the curve on you on this stuff. There's so much I would love to learn from you. So let me know what you find about some of the cool projects that are building on Base. But like I wanted to talk about real quickly is Layer and what they're building out on their decentralized on-chain library storage system. So for files to be stored, cataloged, and validated fully on-chain, when a file is out of the library, the uploader has full control of the file until the file is marked by them as finalized. A finalized file cannot be modified by any party, allowing it to be shared and used trustlessly by anyone. We utilize a modified SStore2 library with Create2 to help prevent the duplication of data files being added through the library and encourage reuse of common assets. Files are cataloged and searchable by their name, the expedited SHA-256 hash of the file, and the on-chain validated SHA-256 hash of the file. On-chain library allows for storage of files that exceed the standard 2400,000 bit storage limit to be uploaded and utilized to create new fully on-chain experiences. The design of the library contracts ensures that common assets can be shared and used trustlessly through asset finalization and on-chain validation of the file hash. Oh my God, that just makes me so warm in my belly. I don't know about you, but it's some fun stuff there. You can also help Layer by casting your vote with the Build on Base Prop House proposal being ran by NounsDAO. So this helps projects get funding. And so there's some really cool stuff being built out through layer. So I'm super excited to see what they come out with. Now, one of the things I told you about earlier that I'm going to circle back to, Coinbase. Coinbase, with their Stand with Crypto, they have a NFT that you can mint called their Stand with NFT Crypto. You can also buy it. I think it's usually around $5 if you buy it. If you mint it, it is free minus gas, which is like 0.4 zeros and a 7 or something like that. And what that NFT allows you to do, one, it's a donation towards Coinbase and their legal fund, or that's what it originally stood for. But now with every NFT you have, you get voting power for projects on Base. Didn't see that one coming, did you? So it's some really cool stuff going out there. We want you to give Jesse Pollock a follow. If he asks you why, tell him Taco sent you. I just want that be the bee's knees. Or don't. I don't need you to. I want you to do you. And I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I want to thank Meta Rides for joining us. I know you had a little bit of a issue joining, which sort of sucks. Love to catch up and see how you're doing. Huge shout out to Onboard 60. Saba, we see you there. And so for those that are joining us on YouTube, huge shout out, GM to you. We are so glad that you're able to join. For those that are on Twitch, hello. I want you to go give Quackerjacks2 a follow, just for random reasons. You might like it. And then I want to do a huge shout out to my entire Xenon family, as well as those on Unlonely, building some really cool stuff there. And if you're really bored, I should be getting my hands on some new Friend Tech invite codes. If you need Friend Tech, come check it out. It's fun. Buy a taco share. You never know. Right now, I'm giving away BR1 beta codes. I'm also giving those away to anyone who asks. But for those that hold a taco key, they get actually some extra perks within the BR1 ecosystem. So it's some cool stuff building out there from amazing friends that I've built, doing some really cool things. So really excited to see that going out. And we hope that you guys had a great night. And as always, we want to end with our biggest things that we like to say, our words of wisdom and the best, worst knock-knock joke on the face of the planet. But before I do, just want to give a huge shout out and love to Liam. And I want to give a big reminder to everyone, check in with your family. It is the end of the week, start of the week, however you choose to look at it. Check in with your family. Don't know what your relationship is with them. They don't have to be blood, but someone that you consider family. Check in, see how they're doing. And with that, we give our words of wisdom, which is a closed mouth cannot be fed, and you cannot feed a closed mouth, meaning if no one knows you're looking for opportunity cannot come a knocking. And if it does come a knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. And with that, we end. We want to thank everyone for joining us. Huge shout out to everyone. We will see you tomorrow. We'll be hopefully back to daytime tomorrow for Quick Bite before our regular Tuesday TacoBytes. Tuesday Taco Tuesday Crunch? I don't know. But the best, worst knock-knock joke on the face of the planet is knock, knock. Who's there?